People tend to kind of hold on to these investments or stand behind these decisions that they've made, thinking, I've already invested so much in this. I can't just let go of it now, or I can't just sell it or move on from it at this point. I'm going to hang on and just see this through and hope that it just gets better, or hope that things turn around eventually because I've already put so much into it. Hey there, lovely. If you're a driven and highly ambitious woman who has checked all the boxes, followed all the rules, only to realize you don't actually feel fulfilled, or you don't feel like you're living your purpose, then you are absolutely in the right place. My name is Melissa Chavis. I'm an intuitive mindset coach, and I am absolutely obsessed with helping you discover your true purpose, that thing you were put here on this earth to do, so that you can live the most fulfilling and abundant life possible. Hey there, beautiful. Welcome back to another episode of the Authentic Awakening podcast. Today, I want to talk about something called the sunk cost bias or sunk cost fallacy. Now, a lot of times you will hear about this in relation to investments or in the financial realm. It essentially means that we have a tendency to hold on to an investment or stand behind a financial decision that we've made simply because we've already sunk so much money into it. People tend to kind of hold on to these investments or stand behind these decisions that they've made, thinking, I've already invested so much in this. I can't just let go of it now, or I can't just sell it or move on from it at this point. I'm going to hang on and just see this through and hope that it just gets better, or hope that things turn around eventually because I've already put so much into it. And the thing is, though, sometimes hanging on to it and continuing in that direction isn't really the best thing to do in that situation for you. Sometimes it is actually better for you to let go and go in a different direction. And so I want to talk about this concept today as it relates to finding your unique path in life and finding your passion, finding your purpose, because I have seen this playing out over and over again in speaking with women about this topic in this space, women who are trying to find this life that feels more meaningful, this life that feels more fulfilling, but they have this sunk cost bias that is coming up for them as they think about going in a new direction. And what I've seen truly is that there are so many capable women who have spent their 20s and 30s pouring everything they've got, their time, their energy, their money into this path that they thought would lead to feeling successful, this path that they thought would lead to feeling fulfilled and truly happy in life. But they're realizing that it's not working that way. They're not feeling successful. They're not feeling fulfilled. They're not feeling like they're contributing in some meaningful way in their lives. And so they're sitting here in this position knowing that the path that they're on just isn't really the right path for them, but also feeling like I have poured so much into this. I've spent all my time and effort and energy on this path, on this thing, on pursuing this. And how could I possibly let that go now? That feels like I will have just wasted all of that time and energy in my life. So essentially, this sunk cost fallacy, sunk cost bias is coming into play here. because they have put all this time and energy there. They know that it's not the right thing for them. They know that they want something else in life. They know that they want to feel more fulfilled. They know they want to feel like they're contributing in some meaningful way, and that isn't what is happening currently in their lives. But they feel like they've just spent so much time and effort doing this other thing that how could they possibly let go of it now? What I'm seeing is that then they start to think, well, maybe there's a way to kind of salvage this. Maybe if I change something about my current situation or about my current physical environment, such as I just go get a different job, sort of in the same industry related, doing kind of the same thing where I can still use my experience and use all of this like effort and energy that I put into this and take it into a new situation, or, moving physically, like where they live. So they move out into the country where there's more nature and space and trees and all the things because they think maybe I'll feel better when I'm in this different environment, whether that means, a new job, new people, new colleagues, or a different, location where they're living. And they start to think, well, maybe if I just make a few changes to adjust a little bit, that will feel better. And I won't have to go in a totally new direction and waste all of that time and effort that I spent on this current life path that I'm on. But what I found is that most of the time, that doesn't really solve the issue because it's more like putting a band-aid on the situation. It's treating the symptoms in some way, but not really getting to the root cause of it. The root cause is that your life doesn't feel aligned with your true purpose, with contributing in this way that feels meaningful to you in life. And that is what is making you feel so misaligned, making you feel like you want something different. As with anything in life, when you just put a band-aid on it, when you just treat the symptoms, but you never get to that root cause, it doesn't actually solve the problem. It doesn't solve anything for you. Those feelings and those thoughts are going to resurface. It's going to come back up. The symptoms are going to reappear eventually because the problem itself is still there. So, in thinking about this and in having conversations with multiple women on this topic, I've realized that it's sometimes helpful to reframe this and take a new perspective. So, if this is you, if you're in this situation where you're feeling called to something different in your life, you're feeling like this isn't truly what I'm meant to be doing with my life. I would like to go in a different direction. I would like to have more meaning and more purpose in my life. But you're really feeling challenged by having to, quote unquote, give up everything that you've built thus far and feeling like that's just such a waste of your time and energy that you've put into this other thing. I would like to ask you to try out a new thought for this situation. That thought is maybe, just maybe, it was meant to go this way. Maybe you were meant follow that path. You were meant to put your energy and effort into this current career or life situation that you're in right now in order to get to this place where you are now, where you're discovering and realizing that you want something different, that you want to pursue more meaning and purpose in your life. Maybe you had to go through all of that. Maybe that was just part of your journey to getting here where you are today. And it was preparing you for the next steps on this journey. Maybe it was all important for you. Maybe it wasn't a waste of time. It wasn't a waste of your effort and your energy to follow that path that you did in the first place. Maybe it was just part of the journey and was preparing you for the next phase, for your next journey that you're about to go on. I would ask you to try that on, try it out, see how that feels, to consider that maybe that was the perfect path for you. Maybe there was a reason for it and it all makes sense and it wasn't wasted time and effort and energy. And just see how that feels for you, thinking about it from this different perspective. But there's one more thing that I want to address too, because I think that sometimes this is how the resistance first appears. Maybe it seems like, oh, but I don't want to have wasted all of my time on this other thing. But deep down, it's something slightly different. And I think that sometimes in life, we have a fear of letting go of the known in our lives in order to pursue the unknown. And when you've spent your 20s and 30s and potentially 40s or more following a certain path in your life and doing things a certain way, it can feel really, really hard and really challenging to let go of doing things in that same way that you've always done them in order to try something different. And this is because our brains like certainty. Our brains like to feel like they know what's coming next. So when we try to do something where we are uncertain of the possible outcomes because we've just never even done that before, it feels really hard. And our brains basically say, no, just keep going back to this thing where we know what's happening next. Because when you've been doing the same thing day after day throughout your life, and you have this life that feels pretty comfortable, safe, and certain, it is much easier to just continue on that path and just keep going in the same direction because we feel like there's some certainty there. However, the reality is that there is no certainty at all when it comes to the future, right? I think ultimately we all know that. We understand that even if we keep doing the same thing day after day after day, something could happen, something could change tomorrow that would take your life in a totally new direction, that would completely change your course because we have absolutely no way of predicting and knowing and controlling what happens in the future. So when you're able to see and understand that regardless of whether you keep doing the same things that you've always been doing and stay on that same path, or try something new and try to follow this different path that you've never gone down before, there is uncertainty. There just is uncertainty in the future. Nobody knows what is going to happen. And so while we like to think that we are able to predict or control the situation in some way in order to make certain things happen in our future that we want to happen, the reality is that we can't. We have no idea what's coming tomorrow. We have no idea what's going to be here 5 years down the road. And so when you're able to see that and truly understand that regardless of which path you choose, which direction you go, there will be some level of uncertainty in your life. And so becoming more comfortable with that uncertainty and the possibility that things could look totally different for you will help you to change course, help you to understand that going in a new direction maybe isn't quite as scary as you once thought it was, because ultimately, whatever direction you go in, you can't control the future. You can't make certain things happen. So if you're sitting here in the situation where you really, really feel like there's something different for you in this life, there's something more meaningful for you to be pursuing, but you're feeling a little scared of the uncertainty there, or, afraid to kind of step outside that comfort zone, why not bring the focus back to the one thing that you truly do know for certain. The one thing that is in your control right now in the present moment. And that is the fact that you're wanting something more in your life, that you want to pursue something that feels better, that lights you up, and that brings this sense of purpose and meaning in your life. You do know that. And you can control your actions in a way that can help you move closer to that reality for yourself. And so when you can bring that focus back to the present moment, instead of worrying or feeling fearful about what may or may not happen in the future, and instead focus on the present moment and focus on what you do know, which is what is happening in your life right now, it becomes a lot easier to actually start taking those actions and moving in that direction in your life. All right. So that's all I have for today. If you ever want to chat about this, just click the link in the show notes for a free session with me where we can talk all about this, and I can hopefully answer any questions that you might have about how to start moving your life in this new direction and finding that life that feels more meaningful and more purposeful for you. So I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Until next time, my love. That's it for another episode of the Authentic Awakening podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you found it helpful, I'd love to hear from you. You can do that by liking and subscribing to my YouTube channel or rating and reviewing the podcast wherever you're listening.